Montana roots run deep at one of Great Falls' newest downtown businesses. Named after a trailblazer in north central Montana, Annie's Tap House is serving up history and some great beer. That's coming up on this episode of We're No Damn Experts.
Best damn podcast, the best damn town. You want to get up, get ready to get down. With its big wide sky and the wild river tame. If you want to go, we can take you there to Great Falls, Montana.
Welcome to the greatest damn town in Montana, Great Falls. I'm Rebecca Ingham.
I'm Shannon Newth,
And
we're
No
No
Damn
Damn Experts.
Shannon, I couldn't be more excited about the guests that you found to put in the
Yeah.
studio today.
And I know why. It's because something that's within your eyesight than your range
Hey,
here.
people, just before Shannon gets started, our guests brought beer.
They did.
And it's the first time. And we've
I
had
can
breweries
smell it,
on here
too.
before.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. We went to a brewery and did a podcast and
Oh.
drank there. Sorry, Jeremiah, for slighting you. Shannon, tell us who we got
Yes.
today. Who's here?
Yes, we have Dan and Kevin from Annie's Tap House.
Woo!
What? I thought you were
Nice.
saying something else.
No.
Welcome. We're glad to have you guys here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
So, Dan, Kevin, thanks for being here. What do you each do at Annie's Tap House? And how long have you been Great Falls residents? And what's your favorite thing about being in the beer business?
Oh,
Wow.
that could get us going for a while. Yeah.
Well, we're no damn experts at this. I can tell you that.
Well, dang it. We brought you on because we're not the experts. You're
Right.
supposed to be.
No, we share responsibilities, and we have a third partner, Steve,
Okay.
as well, and he lives in Helena. So Kevin and I, share responsibility on operations. We do a lot of networking and just working together. Kevin handles a lot of the inventory and ordering beers, and which is awesome. That's the better job by far. And so keep the rotation going. We have 23 beers on tap, with one being a root beer,
Oh.
non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
And so it's a job to keep that rolling, and Kevin does a great job of keeping the rotation. And there's some beers you just can't take off. And Kevin can speak to that. And then I handle, obviously, payroll and scheduling, all the
All the
All the
not
all
fun
the dirty
stuff.
stuff that sucks sometimes. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But we have a
things-
great crew down there, so it's actually pretty easy. I mean, and we kept the tap house real simple. We don't serve food and things like that.
Mhm.
At this point, we're partnered with the Commons on Central,
Mhm.
which is El Banco coffee in there, all
Yeah.
the things charcuterie, and Tray 65.
Mhm.
So
So it's like a whole marketplace of small businesses under one roof
Yeah, it's this
that
new,
are collaborative together.
yeah, it's a newer concept. It just kind of opened fairly recently with this idea of all of them being in this one spot. You can walk in, you get your coffee, get your beer, get your charcuterie board, get some party supplies, all kind of in that one area. What
a
made
party
you
place.
Yeah. What made you decide to go into the Commons with other people? Sorry, I'm distracting us, and we'll get back to the other questions. Sorry, the 3 prongs questions.
We just kind of fell into it. We talked to the business owner. We were looking for a location, obviously, and it was a lot of his idea, and it really helped us too, because we really didn't need the entire space. Although we thought, well, we'll fill it up, and then pretty soon he came up with an idea of filling those spaces with other businesses. It is a concept that they have in other towns and other locations. So we thought we'd be a little unique anyway in bringing it all, multiple businesses under the same roof that do share the craft side of it, craft beer, El Banco, their craft coffee, and then charcuterie, obviously, and then having an event center in the back.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they just seem to complement each other.
Mhm. Yeah.
They
Fun
do.
place,
I mean, when the overall concept came together at first, you're a little bit worried about how people would perceive that, right? Sharing a space. And we opened during winter, which really sucks.
The best time to
Yes,
open.
the best time to open.
High traffic,
Yeah.
drink a lot of
Yeah,
beer.
there you go. Yeah.
But it
Gotta stay
actually,
warm.
it did work out for us. I think we can look back now and say it actually was the best decision because it gives you a chance to train, test your operations, make sure everything runs smoothly, and then work together to see how it's all going to pan out. Because if you open in summertime, you're going to get crushed, and you don't have time for those things. So you budget that in and you work it. And I think looking back, we'll be excited that we get to go into summer, with smooth operations going forward.
Having said that, we did open our doors to the public for the first time on the Christmas stroll,
Mm.
and we did not get
Big
crushed.
night.
It was a big night. It was a really good night, a lot of fun, and that really rejuvenated us and told us that we were opening at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, for opening in the middle of winter, like that's a pretty big, high traffic night to decide for your opening night.
However, Mighty Mo Brewery opened Christmas Stroll many moons ago.
Yeah.
Seemed to do okay.
Yeah.
Might be like a good sign.
Mm-hmm. That's the way to
Businesses
do
that
it.
open on Christmas Stroll.
If we can be as successful as those guys have been, I think it was a good idea.
So we didn't hear your answer, Kevin, yet to Rebecca's three-prong opening question.
Well, we got a little bit.
Yeah.
Kevin's in charge of inventory, which does that include beer making
Tasting.
or just beer tasting?
Just beer tasting.
Oh, darn. Wow.
Hey,
I know.
I think that's the
people who make
easier
it.
part.
It is. So what Dan really was trying to say is I took all the fun stuff and he took all the not so fun stuff. I make people happy. He makes people less than happy when he
Oh, I'm sorry.
doesn't
Payroll.
schedule them.
Yeah.
Payroll.
Payroll. He makes
That
those
makes
people
people
happy,
happy.
maybe. Yeah.
You're right.
You got that small glimmer, what, every 2 weeks?
We each have full-time jobs too, though. Dan, I'll let him talk about what he does at the bank, but I also work for the U.S. federal government out at Malmstrom. So,
Oh, wow.
Okay. So how did you two come together for this project?
I married his sister.
Oh, okay. There you go.
It's kind of a package.
Damn it.
Yeah.
It was a package deal for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So this was in the works when the question was popped,
Okay,
I guess. Yeah.
the guy from Helena, somebody's brother.
Oh, yeah. Your other partner.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Steve is my brother.
Okay.
So yes, it's kind of a family
Yeah.
type thing.
Okay.
Well, good.
But I will say, both Kevin and I and Steve does not or is not able to drink beer that often. But Kevin and I have always been beer fans and craft beer fans, especially, and trying new beers and things like that. And Kevin, we've had some great conversations over some craft beers, some of them about aliens, whatever. But, it's that's what happens when you start drinking craft beer. It's pretty heavy,
It is the best bringer together.
Yeah, it is.
Of
It's where good ideas
of
happen.
people.
Yeah. Mhm.
Bigfoot is a
Common
is a
topic.
common topic.
My husband would like to come join you for this.
Hey,
those conversations.
They've got a Bigfoot hunt up in the Sun River Canyon every year.
Also something my husband and
And we
wants to
devoted
do.
an
Yeah.
entire episode of our podcast to aliens and Malmstrom Air Force Base and the Centene Stadium. So
Mhm.
these are all topics that are not new to us, and
you're in
we're
good company
so
with those.
excited that you also are talking about
Mhm.
them.
Well, I think that's great
Yeah.
because Great Falls has such a cool history with that. Obviously the baseball park,
Yeah.
the alien sighting, and Bigfoot. We all have our little stories we like to tell. But I mean, when you look back on growing up here in Great Falls, I grew up here, graduated from CMR in '91, and living in Great Falls. Right under Hill 57 there. So,
Mhm.
it's
Some great
growing
stories
up in the
there.
neighborhood,
Yeah.
and then leaving and coming back and a few times, so it's great to be back in Great Falls and have an opportunity to open a small business here
Mhm.
Yeah.
downtown of all places.
Yeah. It's a fun 100 block.
It's the fun 100 block for sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna make it the fun 100 block.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Well, some fresh beer helps with that. Yeah.
So your day job's at a bank, which then kind of lines up with
The not
the
fun
tasks
part of the job.
that you
Yeah.
take up, I would have to assume. There's not a lot of creative things that happen at a bank, even though we want that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think both Kevin and I though have strong operational experience as well. I mean, Kevin's been a leader, in the military, and he can talk a little bit more about that. But in my career, I've been everything from a regional vice president to even a CEO of a company.
Mhm.
So I've had tons of operational experience. It's just different when you open your own thing.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it's been a fun experience to do that. I mean, I have run a $90 million company, and so but when it's your responsibility to show up every day with your money at risk, it's a little bit different. But we kept things really simple again in the tap house, and so I think our prior experience helped with that in saying, hey, there's going to be a time we can go big. Right now, we're going to keep it real simple, and it's paid off really, really well.
Annie's will be your next $90 million company you'll run.
Right.
Think positively here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that front, I think people are familiar with tap houses because that's usually what is connected to a brewery in order to sample the beers. Is there brewing? I always ask the questions wrong. So is there brewing happening at Annie's Tap House, or is it simply a tap house so that we can get our listeners' mind right around this concept?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a tap house. We there's people in town who brew beer very, very well. We don't know anything about the brewing side of it, so we thought, we'll just let them do the brewing work, and we will sell the product for them. So all of our products are brought in from. We always represent beers from the local brewers, and then we'll bring in things from the surrounding area, the rest of Montana, and then we reach out regional to Washington State, Oregon. We've got Colorado, Idaho beers on. So,
and some of those aren't easy to get. So I have to assume you're having to travel a little bit to sample the product.
we do some of that. Unfortunately, opening in the winter put a little bit of a it put a little bit of a damper on that. But when the weather gets better, we will be able to reach out a little further, and even breweries around the state that don't distribute or go through a distributor, we can hook up with them, travel to them, and as long as we pick up the kegs there and then take them back, we can provide those to the folks at Great Falls.
If you're ever looking for a person in that department,
The driver or the taster?
I will
Taster.
drive. I will taste. I will put your money on the line and say, we would like a keg of that beer,
I'll tell you
and
what.
then I'll haul it back.
We'll drive. You can taste.
There you
okay?
go.
Until
Hey,
we
that's
get
quite
back.
the deal. Yeah.
So-
Seems like a deal.
And just
We
to
might-
add on to what Kevin was talking about, we do have obviously our own beer. So we have the Annie's Homestead Hefeweizen,
Which is here in studio with
in
us today.
studio
Yes, we
today.
can see it.
And then we have Annie's Hellesbock German Lager on tap as well. And releasing this month will be the Sandhills Scottish Ale. So we'll have an IPA in the future as well. And those are all done, the recipes, everything by Missouri River Brewing Company out of East Helena. And we know Scott really well out there, and he's done a phenomenal job of building these beers for us. And it's kind of special for us to just know that we've got our own Annie's beers on
Yeah.
tap, right?
Yep.
And we didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
So, because you need an expert, you need a
Yeah.
scientist to do that kind of stuff. And these brewers are phenomenal in what they do. You think about all the beers.
Mm-hmm.
And just Montana, think about all the breweries that are here, and from small little towns to to the largest ones like Big Sky and stuff, and the amount of work it takes
Yeah.
to produce these beers and
Mhm.
and make really good craft beer and to compete against the big guys, the domestics. It's phenomenal. The whole industry has taken off over the past 20 years.
Well, and this partnership idea, I think, is just, when the craft beer scene kind of started back up, I will say, because that was what you got back in the day. It's not like you just go to the the town pump and grab your 6-pack.
Mhm.
You're a lot of brewing your own, and Great Falls has a long history of brewing beer locally. But that idea of partnership, when the craft beer started, was more like, I'm going to brew my own beer. I'm going to have all this capital investment. I'm going to have all this kind of labor intensive, long time to product development. And we've kind of cut that because people have capacity. People are willing to partner. And I would just love to see when Montanans get to work with Montanans. That's
Mhm.
so cool.
Well, I'll do a quick shout out to the Cascade Historical Museum there.
Mm.
If you get a chance, go down there and
Yeah.
see their brewery section.
Yeah.
Right? I don't
Yeah.
think people realize that in 1894, the Volk Brothers Brewing was the first one for the Great Falls area. And then 1895, you followed that up with Montana Brewing Company and American Brewing Company. And it wasn't until 1933 that we saw Great Falls Brewing Company
Mm.
after Prohibition. Obviously, the other three were ended because of Prohibition.
Yeah.
But for years, pieces of the original brewery for Montana Brewing Company was still where the new courthouse is.
Yeah.
And most people don't think about that. Like there was a brewing culture here prior to
Mm.
Prohibition, but it was strong with 3 brewers here. So it's kind of cool, and there's still memorabilia. So if you get a chance, go down there and see that before they take it off. It's
Mhm.
really, really cool to
Mhm.
learn that history.
Yeah, I think when Christy told us about the beer exhibit, I, of course, fell in love with the idea. I'm like, that's just the greatest
It
idea
is a
ever.
great idea. Yeah. Yeah. Down at the History Museum.
But on that history vein, there's a lot of history and connection to the stories of where Annie's sprung from.
Yeah.
So tell us a little more
Tell us
about that.
Annie.
Like, I don't know what the story's coming.
Well, that's the fun part about opening the tap house. Obviously, when you first start planning something like this, you come up with names. And we kept coming back to Annie simply because you can tell a great story, and
Yeah.
we could build the tap house around that story. So we try to bring that historical element into the building. The building's like 1886,
Mhm.
so we have the original brick, the original ceiling, original floor. So it all came together. So Annie, being my great grandmother and Steve's as well, Kevin somehow.
You're adopted.
Yeah, you're adopted in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin's adopted into it.
My husband always says, these people aren't my family because if we're not married, I will never see them again. I'm like, such a
Like-
weird way to think of it. At this point, that
Right.
is
But it's
your
still-
family.
Right now, it's your family. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and so Annie, born in 1873, makes her way with her family, across from Illinois to Missouri to Oregon, and then they land in the Palouse area, Albion, Washington. She has a strange story to begin with because when she's 18 years old, in 1891, we actually have that picture in the tap house there, and she marries her stepdad. So, yes,
Okay.
right.
All right.
Was okay.
So that's a crazy part of the story.
It's a little weird, but
Um,
let's just clarify.
Not at the same.
Was her
time as
stepdad
the
currently
wife-
married to her mom?
Yeah.
So her mom died.
Okay.
Oh.
See?
Okay.
Yes. So her mom passed away after
Still a weird turn.
after
Yeah.
yes after a difficult birth.
Mm.
And so it was a few years later, after all that happened, that she married. It may have even been kind of a forced marriage kind of thing. They had children, and so it's that's the part of the story that's really, really strange. But
Yeah.
But it was the 1800s, and that
Right.
wasn't really uncommon. We try to put our own
Yeah.
today's thoughts on
Yeah.
that behavior.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
things back then were a little strange,
But-
all the way around.
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think when you think about back then, I mean, they did what they had to do to survive, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he dies in 1907.
Oh.
And
Short marriage.
we-
Yeah.
well, yeah. And we find Annie on the Great Northern Railroad coming to Montana in 1909. So 2 years later, she comes to Montana, and on November 15th, 1909, she's in line at the courthouse to get her land. And, you know, it's kind of cool to think, because in the newspaper, November 16th, you can actually read about her standing in line in 1909. So at some point, we'll have that paper, the newspaper clipping and everything in the
Cool.
tap house,
Yeah.
so people can see that she's actually there. So after tons of looking back and going through documents and history and getting even the Montana Historical Society, which she has a place there now. So one of the cool things is that it was determined that she really was the first in north central Montana, first woman in north central Montana to use the Homestead Act and
Wow.
and get land. And you know, the important part of the story is that not only did she get land, because lots of homesteaders came, right? More than 80% of them never stayed. You know, harsh winters, hard farming. She actually proved up her land, and in 1914, she gets her patent signed by Woodrow Wilson.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll have that hanging up as well. I'm having that professionally done. So, you know, the story is really to honor. She was really tough. You think about the winters here.
Oh my gosh.
In
Yeah.
1909 and 1910, I couldn't make it, you know.
Yeah, I get
mean,
cold trying to shovel my driveway. Like,
There's
oh,
very
yeah.
little from the 1800s or 1900s. I'm equipped to survive. I'm
I'm
just
always
going to go on record.
Grateful I wasn't
there.
born then. Yeah.
Right.
Oof.
So I think, you know, we looked at that and we thought, you know, we could really tie that into the whole story of the tap house and become kind of a historical place where people, when they come here for tourism and things like that, to go, hey, you know what, we've got to go to Annie's to check out. So if you, one of the cool things that we have there is we have a footrest that is an actual Great Northern 1902 Carnegie Steel railroad track.
Oh my gosh.
And it surrounds the whole bar. And then we have an 1899 boxcar hanging on the wall. That's Great Northern as well, and has the lettering and everything on it. So we brought in some historical elements to it. Heck, our cooler's even 30 years old. That's a story in itself for maybe another podcast. But, you know, we really tried to bring that historical, and obviously the Goodwood guys did an amazing job on our bar top, which follows the Sun River from Power, Fort Shaw area is where her land was, all the way through to the Missouri.
That's so
That
cool.
call makes a lot more sense now. Susan had called and she's like, hey, I'm working on a project and I need to know significant items for along the river. And I'm like, okay. So we had a great discussion. Now that makes a lot more sense.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, have them come down and they can see all of that.
Yeah. That's really neat that there's all these little elements, like literally ingrained in.
But
the
what a great
experience there.
story. The tenacity that we know Great Falls for, embodied in one amazing woman.
Yes.
Is today International Women's
Today
Day?
is International Women's Day. It is
Look
when we're
at
recording
us.
this, which just is perfect. And I mean, this is past then, but you're honoring her today. We shared this on our social by giving some drinks out, especially to Annie's.
Right.
There's a free beer option. I'm sorry, people. You're listening today.
Right.
Free beer was yesterday. My favorite thing to say. But
Yeah.
You missed it.
but you are giving away free beer to some people.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So if your name is Annie today, come in, show your ID, and the drink,
Only today.
first
Only
drink is on
today,
us.
which is in
and
the past. Yeah.
It's in the past. But you know, hopefully you saw it on social media
Yeah.
and it spun around. So, and then $1 off all pints, or wine, whatever you want. Today we're celebrating women. And the thing is, Annie would 150, she turned 150 years old this year, January 10th. So it's a great time, great thing to honor,
150 years.
Mm-hmm.
So much has changed.
Yeah. Ideally, you don't have to marry your stepdad. That's the
Unless
biggest
you-
one.
Unless you want to.
Let's get past that part, okay? we don't need to.
Just
We
kidding.
don't need to hang on that line.
When
No, she's
Annie was
incredible.
working her land, she had kids. How many did she have?
Yes, so she actually had 9 kids total.
Oh,
Wow.
Yes, and by the time she moved to Montana, a few of them were older, obviously,
Yeah.
and so she brought 3 with her.
Okay.
From Washington.
Yeah.
So, yep.
That's just incredible. Like, her story is so inspiring. And do you know, did Evelyn Cameron, the photographer, ever feature her? Do you know, Evelyn Cameron was a photographer? Does know anyone know what I'm talking about? No? Okay. I'll just say my piece and move on. Then Evelyn Cameron was a photographer who featured a lot of women who were farmers, rancher, had their own homesteads, things like that. There's a book actually that's compiled of women homesteaders and features a lot of the photos Evelyn Cameron took. So
yeah, might need to look at that
Yeah,
book to see. I mean, she'd have been in Power, Montana.
Okay.
So maybe that's possible.
I have a copy of the book. When we're done, I'm gonna look for her in that book. So
Excellent.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
was Evelyn
Anyway.
Cameron from this area or national?
I don't remember.
photographer?
I just know. So
Oh.
my husband's grandma was.
Oh.
They were friends, and Evelyn Cameron shot photos of her,
Ah.
and she's in that book. So that's why I know about it. But
See,
Yeah.
educational all the way around here on this
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah. So that was a random side note, since I'm the only one who
Who knows
just,
anything
like,
about
knows
that?
what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'll look in that book because I would venture to guess she might be mentioned in some capacity in it. But yeah. Anyway,
Does your family still own the land?
No,
Oh.
I know. Yeah.
Is there a sordid, weird story with that?
No, it's, she, in 1929, Annie decided to move and settle in Wolf Creek, and she had a dairy. She owned
Oh.
400 acres off of
wow.
Holter Lake, which is still
Oh my
not.
gosh.
And that's, the tragedy of all of it is that, her death was caused by being hit by a car
Oh wow.
in 1940
wow.
Oh my goodness.
from a guy out of Michigan while she was crossing the street
Ugh.
in Wolf Creek. And
Oh,
so
man.
she died about a year later after her injuries. And
How heartbreaking.
so, yeah, it's a
Ugh.
very heartbreaking
Yeah.
story because even my mother would never got a chance to meet her, so
yeah.
it's, all those years of history,
Wow.
it'd have been cool to know.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that is lost because, once she was gone,
Right.
none of the family members were really up in that area. So they were all here in Great Falls.
And I always find it so interesting. My dad did a bunch of research on our family, and for years, I mean, I could trace our family history to a few trailer parks that I was raised in, and
Mhm.
it didn't go very far, but he was able to kind of put a book together. And I say a book, it's like a 3-inch binder, 3-ring binder of things like, had I known, I might have done something better with my life. But we had family that was part of the Declaration of Independence
Oh my
and
gosh.
statesmen. And I'm like, well, where did our family make the turn?
From being part of the Declaration of Independence.
But
That's
it's just
crazy. That's-
interesting
yeah.
when you don't get that full history or that full set of data on people. And it wasn't like they had podcasts in the 18 and 1900s where you could just kind of capture that. So being able to keep your family history alive is really
Mhm.
kind of a neat thing.
What was Annie's last name?
Busby.
Busby,
So Barnes
okay.
was her maiden name. Busby was her married
Okay.
name.
Huh.
Yeah. I love it. I love being able to share her story, and then also knowing when you go, there's a story behind your beer and the experience where
that-
you are and why
And not
you
just
started
the
it.
story behind the beer, but the people that are in charge of
Mhm.
it are part of that legacy.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
And, Kevin made a great point during our KRTV interview, which was a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
We'll have people come in and, look at our bar top and go, I live right there. It's like, cool.
That's that's great.
And
yeah.
that's the idea of it, right?
Yeah.
I think Kevin also said earlier, trying to be a little bit unique. We don't play loud music and things like that. We really want it to be that place where it's more like a brewery in a sense. We get people in there to have great conversation, and
Mhm.
that's what we like the most is you can play cards at the tables. We have playing cards at all the tables, and we get cribbage boards, all that kind of stuff. And that really invites even families to come in,
Mhm.
you know, because we have root beer on tap, and we hope to do some craft root beer floats
Ooh,
this summer.
perfect.
So we're working on that right now.
Yeah.
So, but it's really cool to say that, you know, we're trying to be just a little bit different or a little bit unique.
Mhm.
And that's not to say we're any better or anything like that. It's just we set out with a goal to be just a little bit different from
Mhm.
everybody else.
But that's helpful. You know, being a business nerd myself, you probably shouldn't be the same as everyone else.
Right. Right. Don't try to be everybody else. Yeah. Well, how about I'm going to ask Kevin a question. Dan, maybe you can pour us some of the Homestead Hefeweizen and we can try. Kevin, when you're talking about, obviously, you know, it's not brewed right there, but what influence do you have? Do you say, hey, we want to create a Hefeweizen to honor Annie and we want to have notes of this, this, and this? Or do you just say, go to town, this is the name of it? How does that process work? Because you're not brewing it there, but you have kind of specific name and vision because it's representing Annie.
So I'll give Scott all the credit in the world
Okay.
for this. Scott asked us questions.
Okay.
So he drew it out of us. He asked, you know, what was the ancestry? So, you know, Dan said they have German ancestry. So he's like, great, we'll go with the German Hefeweizen, you know. And then he brewed it. He told us exactly what he was going to do, how he was going to do it. It sounded good to us, and it turned out even better.
Oh.
So it's our number one seller.
Yeah.
Is it your favorite? Are you a Hefeweizen fan, or are you more of a...
I am. I probably lean a little more toward the IPAs, so I'm
Okay.
excited for one of those coming up. My granddad is going to be featured on the label for the Sand Hills Scottish Ale
cool.
coming up, so I'm excited about that. As soon as some of my family back in Nebraska saw it, they're pretty excited about it too.
So Nebraska's your original home?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh my gosh. Wow, it's a full glass too. My goodness.
You shouldn't have said that
Nice.
on the radio. It's not the radio.
No, it's not the radio. So don't worry, it's not going to be on the radio.
Wow.
I'm
It's a
gonna.
nice dark color, darkish, not a pale ale. It's a true
Darkish.
Hefeweizen.
Yes, I'm going to, while we're recording this, take a picture of us with our beers while we're recording and share this here.
Do I have to do something? You know, I'm not good with this camera thing and pictures.
I'm
and
just trying to get the
You're doing
phone
your
to
thing.
open.
It's
Yeah.
a good caramel color.
Yeah.
Oh,
there
there
you
you
go. That's the way it should be.
Okay, let's.
Smells good.
All glasses in here for a picture.
Are we in there? Or
Ooh, I'll do the wide view. There we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. So real time, people can go check our picture out of when we're having our beer.
there you go.
Yeah.
And how fun for you, listeners, to hear us take a picture.
Yeah. Here's a picture. Have a drink. Ooh, that's smooth. I like it. It's
Right.
very light.
Very light.
Mhm.
And Scott did such a phenomenal job
Oh, wow.
in crafting this beer, in that it's a traditional German hef.
Yeah.
You know, there are American style hefs as well. And so it's really got that banana and clove flavor.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh, yeah.
And so
Very
you front forward kind of taste, and,
Mhm.
and you can really kind of feel it. It stays with you, right?
Mhm.
That just a powerful taste.
But it's that light. It's not
Yeah,
like a.
There's no.
I expected that deep wheat
Mhm.
heaviness.
Yeah.
Me
Mm-mm.
talking like I know everything about.
I know. I'm like, okay, I
Oh,
have to figure out
now
how to
you're
talk
the
about
expert.
this.
Like you.
I don't know
You keep
any-
agreeing with me, like I know what I'm talking about.
Well,
You
you
sound
do
good.
love your beer. Yeah. Okay, so that is a banana note. When you say that, I'm like, oh, okay, I can taste that. I think. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
I
and
would
I
have
think
pegged it
that's
that way.
helpful. Like, you
Yeah,
can,
it is.
You know, something's there.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, wow, that is just not what I was expecting with a Hefeweizen, and it was
No.
good.
It is like you said. I'm agreeing with you, but the lightness of it is nice because often Hefeweizens are my favorite. They're my go-to, but they can be heavier. But this one's
We have
goes
a lot
down
of
very
folks
easy.
that
Yeah.
we have a lot of folks that come in that always tell us, "Well, I'm not really into craft beer, but I want to try something." This is one of them that we'll let them try.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, this is their go-to then, because because it is, it's not so much in your face.
No.
It's easily drinkable.
Mhm.
Are you the kind of craft beer snobs that look down on people who are like, oh, I'm just going to have Michelob Ultra?
Absolutely not.
No.
we
That's
we sell
Rebecca's
that.
people.
we sell that in our place as well. It's not on tap. It's in
Mhm.
cans, but we do sell that. And yeah, when we started this, you really want to find your niche and stick with it. But when it comes down to it, it was more important to us to get people into the location and experience it.
Yeah.
Because that's what we want. We chose a certain atmosphere, and we want people to experience it. And hey, if you don't want to drink any of our craft beers that we have on tap, then I'm pretty sure
Still
we have
get you
some
hydrated
cans.
in some way. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what are the hours at Annie's Tap
Mm-hmm.
House? I mean, because in this shared space, do you all, like at a
Yeah.
mall, have to keep the same hours, or
No,
like you're
that's-
there till 2 a.m. and people are starting to make their own
And
charcuterie
People
board?
at the charcuterie place are like, "Oh my gosh, let's go home." Like,
Well, just like good fences make good neighbors, good locked doors make good business partners. And no, we don't all keep the same hours. Several of the businesses, they don't have to have established hours, so they kind of come in as their schedule fits. And then Al Banco, they actually open before we do. They open at 7 and then they close at 3. By that time, we have servers in there. We're open, and we actually, during most weekdays, Monday through Thursday, will be open from noon till 9. And then Friday and Saturday, we're open from noon till 11. And then on Sundays, we open a little bit earlier at 11 and then close a little earlier at 7. Those hours will fluctuate as we get into the spring and summer. I guarantee you during the farmers market, we'll be open
ask about that.
We'll be open at 8
Mm-hmm.
because we can.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
but
opening earlier, folks, is illegal for them. Well, you can
Yes.
open at 7. You just can't serve
We
anything
just-
till
you-
8.
Well,
that-
root beer.
that's exactly true.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we could serve root beer. We do have
It's just mean, though.
we do have other soda products and stuff that we could serve. We cannot serve any beer or wine before 8. But we don't stay open till 2, although we could. But we all have families we want to get home to, and to some extent, I think
Nothing
good
good happens
Yeah.
after midnight.
So
Uh-huh.
we will let other establishments
Handle those.
handle that.
Yeah. I think that's smart there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what is kind of cool, we always get the question, why would you choose first block, the fun block? And if you look at the data, though, for downtown and everything, I mean, it's where it's going to have to grow, right? Kellergeist, at some point we imagine they will open up as well, and get reopened, which would be really fun.
That's the dream
And-
we all have.
Right. And you need that. You need a downtown that has multiple options for alcohol.
Right.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
what makes
Because
a
people
downtown.
tend to wander, right?
Right.
It's a
They tend to wander and come down. But when you look at the data, the farmers market is such a huge event, especially now that COVID's kind of done and out of the way. Last year, I mean, while we were building the site, we were watching people as they we grab our door and try to open it. We're like,
oh, not yet.
we
We'll throw you
we
a
could serve you,
Bud
but
Light. But
yeah, we don't have a license yet.
Yeah.
But really, when you look at it, I think it's all of downtown is going to be special someday, and I think as Great Falls grows, and with the farmers market and everything, number one reason we said, yeah, let's go with this site.
Yeah.
The historical side, number one, it fit what the space we needed, but number two, the data supports it.
And I think it's a good spot too with talking about the farmers market with Al Banco in there too, because you can get in groups that, somebody is ready for a beer, wants a beer, somebody just wants a coffee to get, depending on the timing and the more kind of open family atmosphere you're going to get, because some people might be like, oh, I don't really want to, beer at 8 a.m. and others are like, yeah, beer. But it
Maybe
allows
a
you
mimosa.
exactly. It allows you to
Oh.
have both the coffee, the beer, it feels open and welcoming and not a dark, dingy kind of bar experience. That's not what you're getting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about being a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
You know, business can be a win-win and should. If you're trying to go at it on your own, you're probably going to fail along the way.
Mhm.
So the other thing I want to say is with the downtown, Dan and I are both first-time business owners. So I wasn't sure what to expect when people found out that we were opening this up. If they served the same sort of product, I was afraid that it would be their competition.
Mm.
We need to put them down and win this, and it hasn't been that way at all.
Mm.
Everybody,
Yeah.
any place that served beer, wine, alcohol, has embraced us down there for the exact reason Dan talked about. Because people typically don't just go to the one place and spend 5 hours there.
Mm-hmm.
They will come into one place, have a drink or two, and then move down, and you just get that constant flow of people throughout all of our establishments, and that's kind of what we're seeing even in the wintertime, but it'll be even more so in the spring and summer, and that's
Mhm.
exciting.
So let me be the first to tell you, Great Falls has an amazing annual event on May 13th called the Greatest Damn Mimosa Showdown. And we do have beer entries that are beer mosas. So I would encourage you to be a part of that chaos that we produce.
So we will, and
Yay!
actually we put out to our staff, come up with a cool beer mosa.
Ooh.
So we're letting the staff kind of decide on how we should do that, and
we have an amazing staff, by the way.
Mm.
So they came up with much better ideas than Dan and I would have. Mine was an Annie's with a little garnishment. That was it.
Hey, it's a
That's-
solid player.
Throw a sprig of mint on there and call it good.
call it good. Yep. And mine wasn't any better, so because I had nothing. Let's just say that. But yeah, we have to give a shout out to our staff. You know, when we opened, we had no idea. I mean, with servers and things like that, but you know, we have everything from real experienced staff members to some green ones, and they've all done an amazing job. And it's difficult because, you know, from an operational side of things, you know, our number one thing, because we don't have food and things like that, we have to hit it on customer service. And so we stress that every day. And if we give great service, great beer, you know, great atmosphere, that's a win for us. And so, you know, we got to give that shout out to the staff, because we get a lot of comments on whether it be Google or whatever that people are getting a great experience at the tap house. And that's exactly what we wanted.
And I do want to say here, since we've mentioned food a couple of times, we do not serve food in the commons in Annie's Tap House. However, we do allow outside food in. So we have some great food options right around Annie's. You've got Tracy's, which is just catty corner across the street. Got Celtic Cowboy, Kellergeist. I couldn't name everybody because I'll leave a lot of people out.
Right.
You can bring your own food in. You can have food delivered from anywhere. So we do allow that. And later on in the spring and summer, we will be utilizing food trucks. So we've teamed up with a lot of them. Again, this is all in the vein of partnering with people. And if they can help us and we can help them, I don't know how it gets any better.
No.
And I will
Great
say,
concept.
just to give a plug here, you know, all the things Charcuterie does some little boxes for us, the grab, graze and go boxes and some singles and things like that. And that has been super successful.
So you'd have those to be able to.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind
Grab
of
a
the
snack.
snack kind of food. And
Yeah.
because we have small snacks in there, but, you know, I mean, what's better, you know, than
Yeah.
salami and
Right.
cheeses and
I
stuff
know,
like
but
that.
that's a great-
Which is,
Honestly,
Have a
not
beer with
available.
that. Like, that's a great little meal.
And
I
more-
believe if my husband would let me, we would live on salami and cheese.
right.
There's-
And
it just-
beer.
Hey,
Yeah.
assemble your own,
Mhm.
eat until you're full. I don't care what it does to your
Mhm.
bowels.
Yeah. Well, and then on Fridays, El Banco offers cold sandwiches as well.
yeah.
So a couple different options there, and maybe that'll expand as time goes as well.
Yeah.
But it's just small steps right now, and we're trying to find ways to work together.
Mhm.
But we are excited for the food trucks, because I think we'll do a couple days a week, maybe 3, something like that. Try it out, see how it goes. But I think that brings one more option downtown that wasn't available before
Yeah.
on a consistent basis.
I
So,
love that idea. Grab it from the food truck, come in, sit down with your beer. Yeah. It's a good concept.
And I think there'll be a lot of people that even if they travel across town to get to that food truck, they may see some of the other food options down there.
Mhm.
Maybe that they hadn't tried before, and they'll go in there. So I don't believe that you're gonna find we're pulling people from these other places. I think we're bringing them down and making them aware of what's available downtown.
Mhm.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And you also have some events that you're
Oh.
doing at Annie's. Tell us about those.
we do. So, I mean,
How
so
did you know?
we've done everything from
Sort of shot in the dark there.
Research.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. We've done yoga, which is
Oh.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
Dan
Have
and I
you
don't.
done yoga?
we
It's
don't
like,
do yoga.
Come on.
You need to, though. That's the show off the experience.
Right.
Everybody can do yoga.
Yeah.
I don't look good in stretchy pants.
Might not be a requirement. You gotta...
Right.
So yoga.
Yoga, we've tried that. That's been super
Mhm.
successful with Sage, and we've done that twice now, and we'll continue to do that. And then we have fly tying night on Tuesdays, and I think it's every other Tuesday. Is that right, Kevin? Yes. So that's a fun one, because we both kind of enjoy fly fishing and stuff like that. So of course that's a Montana thing.
Yeah, I was like, how much more Montana can you get? Go in, drink some beer, fly some ties.
Yeah,
Tie
flies.
some flies.
Is that Annie's?
Yes,
It's
Hefeweizens
it's
kicking
getting to
in
you already, huh? But yeah, no, that's kind of it fits our atmosphere as well. So great conversation, tying flies and learning how to tie flies.
And it is free to the public.
Really?
And it's Fred down from the North 40 fly shop. He comes down and he shows people how to tie flies. You can come down, tie 1 or 2. Your first drink is free if you're participating in that.
Oh my.
And it is
Wow.
free to the public. So
Yeah.
Free fly tying and a beer.
We
Yes.
have
That's-
had Fred
wow.
Talene on our podcast more than once. The first time he came on, told us all about, I don't even remember what he was talking about, fishing. Had to have been.
Before my time.
The
No?
second time he came on, we had done some research on him and found out he was like a world champion in the Hall of Fame for fish outfitting, guiding.
Hmm.
Just he neglected to share that
Didn't mention
as
that.
part of his resume when he first talked to us. So
Fred's very humble.
He is.
Yes.
he's very quiet. Like he's like, yeah, I fish. I'm kind of good at it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Mhm.
So
Yeah. and
that's
then-
pretty fun.
Yeah, it's
So-
kind of some, so Steve, my brother there, or the third partner, he does a lot of the bookings and stuff. So he's working on some small concerts, things like that we'll do. Just some, a single guy guitar, or a couple guys.
Music. yeah.
April 2nd will be our first live performance, Joe Ryan. So
yeah.
that's 4 to 6. So again, we'll build on that as we get into summer, and try to have a couple live events like that per month kind of thing. But the one we really look forward to is obviously Craft Beer Week in June.
Yeah.
Cruising the Drag is coming as well,
Mhm.
which we're
Yeah.
a sponsor for that, a small sponsor, but we made it on the t-shirt.
There you go. Hey,
We are
you are on
the
there.
t-shirt. So yeah, that's exciting. And I think that, obviously draws a lot of people downtown and helps.
Mhm.
But Craft Beer Week, we missed it last year, and, building out the site and everything. And so we will be look forward to some events we'll be doing. We're doing a collaboration with Missouri River Brewing. So kind of a tap room takeover, but it'll be more like just a party. So yeah, so
Thanks for calling it what it
Yeah.
really is.
yes, it's going
a
to be
party.
a big
Right.
party.
Don't disguise it. Yeah.
So you probably get to taste some Missouri River beers that don't get distributed that often, and then plus, of course, we'll have our Annies, and at that time, our IPA will release. So
Ooh.
That's good
So,
timing.
I'm not an IPA fan in general. However, we used to have a sales director here, Kristen, who is she was tiny. She still is. She just doesn't work here. So like she's 5 foot 90 pounds. And she told me, she's like, no, you have to drink this beer. It was a New England IPA. And I just looked at her. I'm like, oh, I don't really like IPA. She's like, stop your mouth. Drink this beer because it's a New England IPA, which is not the same as a regular IPA. And I'm like, oh, okay. Oh my God, I loved it. I said it. She says, I told you. So when you say IPA, are you talking New England or the hoppy stuff I don't like?
Bet a lot of people do.
this will be a traditional IPA.
Okay, yeah.
Stick with this one.
So
Yeah.
stick
Well, I'm
with the
just
hef.
asking because, I'm the
Or
co-host of
the
this, so I can make
Hellesbach.
it about me.
You can also try our Hellesbach German Lager,
Mhm.
which is also pretty good. But our hef is the number one seller in the tap house by
For
far.
good reason. I'm very much enjoying it.
You've only had one.
The Hefeweizen?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Maybe the others will be ones you like better.
maybe.
It's
But I
it's getting to
Hefeweizen's
Shannon.
No.
She's like
It's really
she's-
not. I just
she's moving forward.
It's making
already.
it seem like it's getting to me because I keep hitting my headphones on the mic.
Yeah,
It's not.
just
No, but Hefeweizens are my
Wednesday.
go-to. So
okay.
for me, it would be hard to
Convince you
this.
otherwall.
Yeah.
I'm
mean,
gonna
I'll try
sample
it.
them all.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll
it's not
sample
gonna be
them
an
all for
issue.
sure. Yeah.
Locally, Dam Fog is so
Classic.
awesome,
Yeah.
classic, and still one of our favorite beers as well. So and that's a cool thing about being part of this culture is
Mhm.
building on that with Mighty Mo and Jeremiah Johnson and Black Eagle and Harvest Moon is to take part in that and get to share their beers with the public as well. So so that part's really cool, and we hope to partner with all of them at some point
Mhm.
to do some special events.
We try to keep a rolling options on tap, so that if you have a certain type of beer that you like, you can come in and hopefully find at least one of them on tap. Well, I find out when I'm not doing a very good job doing all the ordering because pretty soon people start asking for the types of beer that I don't have on tap at the
Oh.
time. So the New England style was one of them that people kept coming in and asking for, and I'd failed to have those on tap. And from time to time, ciders, sours.
Mhm.
Just Friday night, I let one of our most popular ciders go
Run out.
empty, and I did not have one on.
Did not go well.
Did not. It did not go well. I specifically had people come in asking for it, and when they found out it was not on, their tenor changed, and they said, "Where's Kevin?"
Oh, no.
And
We need to speak with
Uh-oh.
Kevin.
Yeah.
but you know what? Some customers stepped up. They drained a keg so I could actually put that back on.
Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah,
Took one
we've got
for the
amazing
team
customers.
there.
They sure did. So
Well, and to hit on that, I mean, the cider, if you guys have not tried that Pacific Pineapple Blade Two Towns,
Oh, it sounds good.
that is our number 2 seller. And obviously, because it's an easy drinking, not beer kind
Yeah.
of thing as a cider, but those are gluten reduced. So
Oh,
that's something
sure.
to know about those. But yeah, it does so well. It's an easy seller. So when we run out of that one, we hear about it, and but that happens
Where's
because
Kevin?
as you're working with distributors, where is Kevin?
Well,
I
and I
want to
think-
talk to Kevin.
Your first year of business is tough to know how
Yeah.
quickly things are going to go.
Mhm.
Oh, we've had this keg in the back for the last 3 years. Really
Right.
expected that one to go a little quicker than it did.
Right. Yeah. No. And it is tough, and I give it to Kevin for taking that job on, because it's difficult at times to know what people are going to like. And some days you look up and you go, oh goodness, all we've got is IPAs on here. And then the next day it's, a week later, you're like, oh, I've got too many darks on there. And so it's that rotation's difficult because you're just trying to have backups all the time. So, I mean, after the KRTV interview, for example, we had 2 days in a row. We blew through, I would say, 12, 13 kegs. We had so many kegs empty.
Oh my gosh.
And thank goodness we had some backups coming in. It was unbelievable. And that's what you want, though. That's what we strive for, right? Is to blow through those kegs as fast as possible. So, we know that, but it's a tough job. It's a tough job to know what everybody's going to like. And it's hit and miss sometimes. Sometimes you put something on there and people go, thumbs down, don't like it, whatever. So I think in New England, I think we have one coming up, Woodknocker, right? Which is a great beer from 10 Mile out in Helena. So if you get a chance, come in and try that one. It's got Bigfoot on the label too. So, you can't beat that, right?
Yeah.
Got the Bigfoot on the label. You can't beat that.
I'm just telling you, Kevin, it's probably a thankless job, because I'm telling you, if I had my own place that served beer, it would only have the beer I like. And if you walked in and you're like, I want this, well, go somewhere else, because I don't like that kind of beer, so I'm not going to buy it.
You're exactly right. I've had to fight that temptation. But that's where I welcome customers saying, hey, have you tried this? Or I can't get this in town. And we've got beers currently on tap that is because customers came in and said, I really like this beer, and I'd never tried it or hadn't heard of it or something like that. So.
Right. And we keep 2 nitros on tap.
Oh.
So we have never replaced our Cali Creamin' from Mother Earth out of California, because that is super popular. I think we might be the only one that has it on nitro on tap here in town. But I have a feeling if we took that off permanently, we would hear about it.
Yeah.
People would revolt.
Now that you said that, I don't have a backup keg for that. So.
I know you don't.
No.
Kevin,
Where's
you wanna?
Kevin?
Yeah, where's Kevin?
You need a notepad to make. Write that
So
down.
it's about
make
to
sure
go
you
off.
Check that off. Hurry up! Hurry, get down there, people.
So I wanted to go back earlier. We talked about you've spent your career in the military. Now you are sampling and responding to people who say, "Where's Kevin?" when
I
you
think
run
he
out of
might
your
still
beer.
be at the military.
Right. So tell me about your day life here. You're at the military, and then you go answer people's beck and call for their beer. What do you do in the military, and then what's that like? Kind of having those two different worlds.
Well, it can be a little chaotic at times.
Yeah.
I'm actually retired from the military now, so I only work as a government civilian out on the base, but I still work for a military unit. And then, but it seems to work pretty well because I've gotten into the base crowd, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have quite a few customers that do come in from the base. And it's a ready population base to draw from.
Yep.
And it's great. And we're constantly getting people from all over the country, especially all over the world, that will come in and it's brand new customers. We learn from them just like they learn from us. So it kind of works hand in hand, but I didn't realize when we got into this, I thought I was taking on a major part-time job. Didn't realize it was a major second full-time job. And
I can only imagine.
Dan and I can get a little rundown from time to time.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, you have your normal lives, families, jobs, starting this, people wanting their beer and demanding it.
Well, and that's why we give the shout out to our staff, because, without them, obviously, who else would be serving as well, right? So we have a great staff, which allows us to be away from the tap room at some point. So, and we trade off at times as well, taking a day off here and there and stuff like that. But, we understood all that coming into it.
Sure.
Steve out in Helena, my brother,
This
Little
partner that
Steve.
doesn't
He's
deal
he's
with
kind of a
dare.
thorn in our side. He just shows up and
He's
goes,
not
"Hey, I
here."
own the joint,"
Yeah.
and walks in. So
Helped
we
pick
do
out
have
some
to
flavors, and that's about
No, but obviously Steve has been an integral part of the the startup and getting it
Mhm.
off the ground and everything. So we definitely need to give him a shout out for that. And he's taking on some more responsibility, but
Hey,
but
Dan, it's hard. He lives all the way in Helena.
Where
right.
the beer is coming from. Yeah.
It's a big hour drive.
Yeah, and I will say this: Steve was our in for Missouri River, so it was Steve's
Well, I guess he was helpful there,
friendship
yeah.
with Scott Hansing out there that allowed us to do this partnership with Annie's Beer. So
Well, I can't thank you enough for the beer and for what you're doing,
Yeah.
telling Annie's story. I just
That's so
love
cool.
a good business that has a good, solid story
Mhm.
rooted in this area. It's just amazing. So, people, if you're listening, I don't know why you wouldn't go hang out in a tenacious ladies historic area. Drink some of her namesake beer. And
I'm excited to learn more about her too. Like look for the articles and things you'll have hanging up. Yeah.
It's just been fun.
Yeah.
And I hope it continues to be fun for you both and Steve.
Yeah. And good old Steve.
I hope Steve pulls his weight a little bit more.
we do too.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun. Actually, being in the tap house while it's open, being able to talk to customers and everything, that's really the only fun part about running the business.
That's kind of like
everything else is just work.
Work.
But
Yeah.
really excited to have people come downtown. Please experience the downtown. The city is doing some amazing things downtown. Come patronize us, but also come patronize all of our the other businesses around there.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome. Pedlet. Are we planning a Pedlet outdoor dining? Pedlet is such a weird term, but
It is.
will there be outdoor dining options?
We definitely
drinking
have.
options,
Yeah, we definitely have the patio as part of our license and everything. So Pedlet probably not this summer. Maybe next summer we'll look at that, but we will definitely have outdoor
tables
tables
and
yeah,
chairs.
and chairs. Yes.
Awesome.
Perfect. That's all I need.
Yeah. Little
All I need for
sunshine,
summer.
little beer.
I love it in the winter, but
Mhm.
sometimes people want a little heater. They're softer than Annie would have been.
Yeah, no kidding. Annie wouldn't have demanded a heater. She was tough.
No, she was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, while we were shivering, she's out there shoveling snow. So
Having
yeah.
her 9 children, working her homestead, and
Yeah. Well, thank you both for coming in. It's been a blast. And folks, we can't wait to see you in Great Falls at Annie's, at Mighty
Mhm.
Mo, Keller Guys, anywhere you want to go. But check out Annie's, the newest establishment in the downtown area, serving drinks for your enjoyment,
Mhm.
both alcoholic and non-alcoholic. So until we see your bright, smiling, happy, healthy face here in our wonderful community of Great Falls, Montana, we hope you are creating amazing memories with your friends and family wherever you are. See you soon.
We're No Dam Experts is the recorded claims from Great Falls, Montana, covering what you need to know about this amazing damn town.